Ahead on News 10, Schenectady tells skateboarders find a new place for sidewalk surfing.
Plus, a look at the increasing popularity of body art.
Coming up on weather tracking, a tropical storm heading for Florida and more heat.
News 10 is next.
This is News 10 at 11.
This area is now off limits to skateboarders in the city of Schenectady. Good evening, everyone. I'm Angela Hampton.
I'm Jim Brennan.
Schenectady City Council dealt a blow tonight to teenagers who skateboard around City Hall and the J Street area. Dan Levy was at tonight's meeting and joins us now live from City Hall. Dan?
Angela, I wouldn't really call it a full-fledged battle. Maybe it was a dispute between the area merchants and the skateboarders. And tonight, the City Council in Schenectady sided with the merchants. When Schenectady's J Street Pedestrian Mall opened more than a decade ago, it was at that time closed off to anyone not on foot. But you wouldn't know it if you stopped by now. Skateboards are all over the place, which is why the City Council voted tonight to officially curb that sidewalk activity.
There's a lot worse problems in Schenectady besides skateboarding, you know. A quarter-mile away is the biggest drug thing in Schenectady, you know, crackheads wandering the streets and crime. And
several J Street merchants think it's a crime if they allow skateboarding to continue. Is it detrimental to business?
Yes, I would say it would be.
I have no beef against skateboarders per se, but J Street is not the place to do it, any more than playing baseball, football, or any other thing that would interfere with people walking leisurely down the street.
So if they let us skate from about 7 till maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, people won't have a problem skating down here with the businesses. Business owners won't complain. They'll be making their money like they want.
Some of the skateboarders I spoke with said, what's the big deal if they're out there at 7 o'clock at night when the businesses are closed?
Well, it's still a pedestrian mall, like, you know, it's like a business place. So I think cities should find them a place. That would resolve everything.
So why don't they?
The city can't afford it financially at the moment to do something like to the extent that would be needed. And then the other consideration is once you designate an area to skateboard, and then you have to think in terms of liability.
The vote tonight in the council chamber was not unanimous. Councilman Conroy voted against the measure. However, it will become law within 10 days when Mayor Frank Ducey signs it into law. The fines range from $25 to $100, but also the city could impound someone's skateboard if they're violating, and also a violator could be sentenced to community service. Angela?
So, Dan, it doesn't really sound like the city's got the money to build some kind of park for skateboarders to go. Any chance of anybody else maybe coming up with an area where they could skateboard?
Well, actually, there's been some talk, Angela, that Schenectady might get together with a neighboring community, perhaps Scotia, that they might build a skateboard park between them so that the youth from both communities could use it. But I'm told that they need some private donations, and I'm told that a skateboarding park adequate enough for the skateboarders might cost in the $8,000 to $10,000 range.
Could be quite expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I understand, Dan, there was a sad footnote to your story this evening.
There really was. That gentleman you heard from in the story, William Goold, who owns a business right back here on J Street, collapsed and fell into full cardiac arrest just a few minutes after I interviewed him. Paramedics were rushed to the scene. Actually, before the paramedics got here, the police chief, Mike Moffitt, was here, and also the assistant fire chief was here, Bob Farstadt, and they were able to perform CPR and resuscitate him enough to await paramedics. And Mr. Goold was taken to Ellis Hospital, where we're told he's in critical condition right now.
We certainly wish the best for he and his family tonight. Dan, thanks for that report.
Now on to something that moves even faster than skateboards, automobiles. At midnight tonight, you will be able to do something with your automobile that is now illegal. That is, drive 65 miles an hour. We're looking at a live picture now of the Thruway at exit 23. And from this point south to Woodbury, you will now be able to drive 65 miles per hour. But remember, when you come back through the toll booth, then you'll have to slow back down to 55. This is just one of the areas in the capital region that will see this change. The new limit will also be in effect on the Thruway west of exit 25A, on I-88 southwest of Schenectady, and on the Northway from exit 8 north to the Canadian border. The new signs will be up first thing in the morning. It was a bus exactly like the one that crashed 8 days ago in Bolton Landing that killed a person and injured 31 more. Today, federal and state investigators took the test bus on the same run. County Route 11, a steep hill that intersects with Route 9N at the bottom.
We were just trying to observe the performance characteristics of the bus. We know some of the deceleration rates. We know something about the way this driver drove down the hill.
This time, the test vehicle left skid marks, unlike 8 days ago when the tour bus sped down the mountain and literally flew through the intersection, leaving no skid marks, then crashing down an embankment. The National Transportation Safety Board says it will be several months before its final report comes out.
Two of the most powerful men in America were in our backyard today. President Clinton and Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole spoke to the nation's governors at their meeting in Burlington, Vermont. Mr. Clinton used the meeting to unveil his welfare reform proposal, offering 5 areas of improvement, including tougher welfare-to-work requirements and time limits on benefits.
If every state did the 5 things that I mentioned here today, every state, we would change welfare fundamentally and for the better.
Senator Dole calls the plan too little, too late. He wants to give the states block grants and allow them to administer the benefits themselves. Back on Capitol Hill, Senator Bob Packwood will not have to face a public ethics hearing. The Senate Ethics Committee will decide on its own how to handle charges of sexual and official misconduct against the Oregon Republican. The panel will decide tomorrow whether to dismiss the charges, send him a letter of reprimand, or recommend punishment by the full Senate.
In Los Angeles today, the bloody gloves found at the crime scene were once again the focus of the OJ Simpson trial. Defense expert Herbert McDonald testified that gloves soaked in blood do not shrink, which means that isn't the reason Simpson had a problem getting those gloves on. Prosecutors tried to enter into evidence photos they claim show Simpson wearing those gloves.
Can you establish a foundation that those gloves are the same gloves?
Yes, I can.
Interesting.
Also on the stand today, Tracy Savage, an LA TV reporter who aired a story saying blood found on Simpson's socks matched that of his ex-wife Nicole. The defense believes police planted the evidence and then leaked the story to Savage. She refused to reveal her source. Well, the hot weather expected to continue to blanket the capital region for the rest of this week. At Saratoga Racecourse today, you could see the heat rising up off the pavement. The hot weather may slow down patrons, but don't count out your favorite horse. One expert says some horses can set world records during the hot temperatures. To keep the horses in tip-top shape, the New York Racing Association has installed hoses near the finish line to prevent the horses from collapsing due to that heat. Heat and humidity, too.
That's right, and those hoses feel good out there. Well, folks in Florida right now are worried about a hurricane threatening the coast, and Steve Caporizzo has got more about Hurricane Erin right now. Steve?
Angela and Jim, the very latest, this has been upgraded. Tropical Storm Erin in the past 5 minutes or so, just coming into the weather center here, has been upgraded to a minimal hurricane, which means winds just over that 74-mile-per-hour criteria. Right now, 75-mile-per-hour winds moving to the west-northwest. Here's Florida. It's moving through the Bahamas now. Some of the wind gusts now 85 to 90 miles per hour. Not a big, powerful hurricane, but nonetheless one of the storms that could cause some coastal flooding and some damaging weather at the time of high tides. Here's the position, 340 miles east-southeast of Miami. Winds 75 sustained. Higher gusts moving west-northwest at 10. We'll be tracking it, and we'll, of course, have much more for you on the future of Erin a little bit later in the newscast. Let's check out tomorrow at a glance around here. It's going to be another hot day, but not too bad. Sunny and 68, sunrise 546. It will get a little bit more humid tomorrow afternoon, mostly sunny and 86, and I think temperatures by later in the day in the 90 to 95 degree range. Moderate humidity tomorrow. It will not be oppressive. That may come Wednesday. In our UV radiation forecast for tomorrow, we expect the index to be high at 8. That means it'll take about 15 minutes to burn. We'll have a complete forecast and much more on Hurricane Erin a little bit later in the newscast. Back to you.
All right, Stephen, coming up on News 10, a look at the increasing popularity of body art.
This is Michael McCardel. Is it offensive or artwork? Decide for yourself coming up.
I'm health reporter Liz Berger. Coming up next, a way to monitor your unborn baby over the phone lines.
And on this final night to wheel and deal in baseball, we'll tell you who went where ahead in sports.
Plus, how the capital region is connected to one of the biggest media mergers ever.
Reporting to you, Jim Brennan, Angela Hampton, meteorologist Steve Caporizzo, Dan Murphy on sports. Stay with us as News 10 at 11 continues.
News 10 at 11 is brought to you by Nobody Beats the Whiz.
At one time, it was left for bikers, sailors, and the military.
Not anymore, though. Today, doctors, lawyers, just about anybody you can think of can and will decide to undergo the needle. News 10's Michael McCardel joins us now with the first part of his special reports on body art and body piercing.
Well, Jim, Angela, after a century of remaining basically underground, tattoos have experienced a new emergence. Sterilization procedures have changed, and many have compared today's parlors to a doctor's office. Now the look of tattoos is moving away from skulls and reapers. Today, body art is something completely different.
I am the illustrated man, baby. I got tattoos everywhere.
It's an art form whose roots date back to prehistoric times. Today, it's just as powerful.
Your best friend can't borrow it. You can't lose it. The government can't take it.
For many, the skin is a living, breathing canvas, a way to express artistic ideas.
This is a piece right now that's in progress.
28 hours have gone into Bob Nitschmann's Oriental theme, and it's only halfway done. For others, body art is a way to tell personal stories. 13 years ago, Ed Richardson was addicted to drugs. After cleaning up, he decided on this piece.
I got this one here on my forearm so that I could always be reminded of the monster that lives within.
Tattoo artists themselves are also changing.
Tattoo has been stereotyped for too long, I think. You know, it's time for us to come out of the closet and say, this is what we really are. We're really artists. We're not, it's not a motorcycle club thing, no more a gang-related thing. It's an art.
Bruce Kaplan, who co-owns Bruce Bart Tattooing, has a bachelor's from the Parsons School of Design. He says tattoos have always been popular. Now, society is more relaxed.
Instead of a housewife getting a tattoo maybe on her bikini line or something like that, instead now maybe she's going to put it out on her arm for everyone to see and show her individuality.
Nowadays, you may be surprised at who's getting tattooed. In fact, this shop did a questionnaire, and they found a majority of their customers were between the age of 21 and 40, making $28,000 a year, and had at least 3 years of college experience.
Here's a bunch of people, and you look and you say, well, this person wouldn't have a tattoo. That's the person that has one.
Despite this growth, there's little governmental regulation. The only statewide law deals with age. You must be over 18. Everything else is left up to local municipalities, and Schenectady County is the only county in the state that has actual regulations, dealing with things like not using needles on multiple customers. A parlor faces fines and time behind bars for any violations.
It works both ways. You know, it's a plus for the tattooists that are regulated by us, and it's definitely a plus for the consumer.
Still, tattoos have gone through a period of unprecedented growth. With constant improvements in hygiene, artwork, and regulations, this success may be as permanent as the tattoos themselves.
I like it.
Since tattoos have a history of thousands of years, the desire to remove them has probably existed just as long. Dr. Lori Levine, a tattoo removal specialist, tells me that about half of those with tattoos later change their minds. She removes them through laser surgery. It takes about 5 to 6 sessions spaced about a month apart. The cost is about $250 per treatment.
Now, you mentioned Schenectady is the only county that has any restrictions at all? I mean, can anybody open up a tattoo parlor? You don't need any license or anything?
Well, you have to go through a process. For instance, this is the form from Albany. You pay a $200 registration fee, you go through a building inspection, and basically you're open. But one problem that has been mentioned is the ease of mail-order equipment. Just about anyone can get a hold of this through magazines like these, the tattoo magazines. That, of course, takes it out of the hands of professionals and eliminates any age requirements.
It sets you up for some problems, potentially,
right,
too, if
right.
you get somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Tomorrow you'll be back with body piercing?
Right. The new art form along with tattoos is body piercing.
Can't wait to see that one. Thanks, Michael. Very interesting.
Not a money news tonight, where Mickey Mouse and Peter Jennings are about to have something in common. The same boss, Walt Disney Company and Capital Cities ABC, announcing a $19 billion merger deal today. The merger renews an alliance begun in 1954 when ABC helped finance construction of Disneyland in exchange for programs to be put on the fledgling network. Disney Chairman Michael Eisner was boastful.
We think that these two companies are the premier family entertainment communication companies in this country.
Capital Cities began in downtown Albany many years ago, then moved to this building in North Greenbush before coming back to the city. In fact, TV10 was one of Cap City's first stations, and of course we are affiliated with ABC, the most watched network in the country. Right now, check out the closing numbers for both Disney and Cap Cities, and the rest of the day on Wall Street. We'll be back.
meteorologist Steve Caporizzo with News 10 Doppler weather.
Steve mentioned a couple minutes ago Hurricane Erin, which is getting closer and closer.
Sure is, and she's a minimal hurricane, but closing in on the Florida coast. It looks like this time tomorrow night it'll probably make landfall or pass along the south coast of Florida, so we'll have more on that in just a little bit. Hey, you know, we've had, obviously, a dry summer here in the media capital region, but I want to show you a place where they've had unbelievable rain. Talking to my good friend Al Tedeschi, and he's had to empty his swimming pool. That's how much it's rained this year, at least this month of July. He had 8.14 inches of rain for the month of July as compared to the Albany County Airport, which has been pretty dry, almost an inch below normal at 2.23 inches. So again, very significantly this time of year when you get the showers and you get some thunderstorms. All right, let's check on the Albany County Airport tonight. We have a nice night. Clear 74, the dew point 61, so it's still comfortable outside, no wind, and it's been dry today. High temperature today knocking at 90 this afternoon, low 55. There are the records 98 and 40. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:46. Here's the satellite loop of now Hurricane Erin, which is moving in on the Florida coastline over the next 24 hours. A pretty well-defined circulation. It's not a real powerful storm, but nonetheless, conditions may be somewhat favorable for her to intensify a little bit over the next day or so. 11 p.m., 340 miles to the southeast of Miami, top winds of 75. It is tracking towards the west-northwest, will likely brush across southern Florida in the next 24 to 36 hours. Hurricane warnings in effect from Sebastian Inlet all the way down along the Florida coast to Everglades City, north of Sebastian Inlet up to New Smyrna Beach. There is a tropical storm warning in effect, which means winds could be over 39 miles per hour. But hurricane warnings mean winds in excess of 74 miles per hour will be likely. Around here, nothing going on, just absolutely beautiful. We have that big, fat Bermuda high pressure off the North Carolina and Virginia coastline. Temperatures in the 70s tonight, and again, low humidity, so the temperature is going to drop for much of the night into the 50s in some locations. John D. and Rhinebeck, 71. Kinderhook, 77. 70 in Averill Park. Serge Grinholz up in Manchester, 63. And right now it's 60 over in Sheffield and 62 in Adams. Here's the only trouble spot in the country, this line of showers and thunderstorms. Here are the remains of once tropical storm Dean, now just a heavy rainstorm in Texas. Around here tomorrow, the high pressure's off the coast. You know what that means, more of the same. But the change tomorrow is going to become more humid in the afternoon, not oppressive. The real steam heat could come in here on Wednesday. Forecast, yeah, it looks like this. Tonight, clear, comfortable, 57 to 62. Tomorrow's going to be a sunny, hot, and a little bit more humid. Highs 90 to 95. For tomorrow night, partly cloudy, mild and muggy, 63 to 68. And for Wednesday, hazy, hot, and humid. Chance of a thunderstorm. Highs 88 to 93. Vermont and the Berkshires overnight, clear, nice, 53 to 58. Keep the windows open. Sunny tomorrow, more humid, near 90. Here's your 5-day forecast. The rest of the week, no changes. I don't see any significant relief. Humid with a scattering of thunderstorms and temperatures in the lower 90s. So basically, no changes. What you see is what you'll be getting, which means some of us will get real uncomfortable here by Wednesday.
That's right, 90s. Here we go.
Here we go again.
All right.
Thanks, Steve. Well, experts say premature births account for more than half of all newborn deaths in the country. And in Women's Health Check tonight, Liz Berger reports to you on a device that can detect preterm labor in its earliest stages.
Barb? Hi, it's Jane.
This is no ordinary phone call between friends. Registered nurse Jane Hargadon is talking to Barb Spivak, a woman at high risk for preterm labor. Twice before, Barb has lost babies who were born too early. The information exchanged during this call may help her carry this pregnancy to term and deliver a healthier child.
If we can carry her closer to term, it would be less time that she would have a baby in an intensive care nursery.
This is the device that will help Barb carry her baby to full term. It's called a home uterine monitor. Twice a day for 1 hour each time, Barb hooks herself up to this device. The monitor records any uterine activity, including contractions. Then Barb transmits that information over the phone to Jane Hargadon's computer.
If she's under her contraction threshold, then everything's fine. And if she's not, then we take the necessary interventions.
This monitoring system allows Barb to stay at home instead of in the hospital, and she still gets round-the-clock access to medical care.
It gives me a great peace of mind. Just to be able to be a phone call away and have medical attention is great. It's a lot better than I expected, a lot better.
Home uterine monitoring is expensive, but so are the medical costs of caring for a preterm infant. Barb's 34 weeks pregnant now, and she thinks she can carry this baby to full term. Jane Hargaden will be there to help.
That sounds good. Stay off your feet, keep drinking your fluids, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
I'm health reporter Liz Berger reporting to you.
Murph's got sports when we come back.
Tonight's Daily Double results are brought to you by Grand Union and your local Jeep Eagle dealers.
Next, Dan Murphy with News 10 Sports at 11.
Baseball trading deadline time.
The clock is ticking down. There's been some wheeling and dealing, but not the big names we're looking for. Major League Baseball teams have another 35 minutes here on the East Coast to finalize some trades. Plenty of rumors, loads of speculation that guys like Brett Saberhagen, Kevin Tapani, David Wells would be taking their pitching arms from pretenders to contenders. Saberhagen, of course, was the big draw here. Several teams, including the Red Sox, very interested in acquiring the 31-year-old. But so far, no word from Flushing. Joe McIlvain obviously holding out for the best possible deal. There have been some three late moves. So the Red Sox have picked up reliever Mike Stanton from the Braves for a player to be named later. The Reds have gotten David Wells from the Tigers. Wells 10-3 this season, so good pickup for Cincinnati. And the Padres have sent Andy Bennis to the Mariners, that in a San Diego cost-cutting move. As far as the teams in the AL East that were playing tonight, only one of those in action. The second-place Orioles opening up a series against the Blue Jays. Speaking of deals, Bobby Bonilla making his Camden Yards debut, and that was about the highlight for the Orioles. Lance Parrish with his bases-loaded two-run double to left, and Candy Maldonado with a nifty grab. Orioles lose 6-3, meaning the Yankees are now all alone in second place. One other American League final.